More people.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is the Town of Somers Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is August 19th, 2025. Denise, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Burke,
Here.
Ms. DiPolito,
Here.
Mr. Gio,
Here.
Mr. Newman,
Here.
Chairman Canestra.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd request everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Well,
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go right to the agenda. First item on the agenda is a carryover from last month's meeting. This is the application of Casey and Lauren O'Donnell. This is an application for a side yard area variance for an in-ground swimming pool in an R80 residential district at 27 Bedell Road, Katona. If you could please give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Lauren O'Donnell. My address is 27 Bedell Road. I am here from the continuance of the July meeting. I was requesting a 5-foot separation from my property line to put in a pool due to the new restraints from the Board of Health that I have to be 50 feet from my well. I know you guys came out to my property, but I wanted to just get started with the updated pool concept plan that I just handed out. We had an updated survey, updated topography, and my yard has been staked since I was here last time. It also shows no patio on the right side, as we discussed at the last meeting. And it shows the fence going all along my property line on the left side and all along the back of the cliff. With the updated plan, you can see that the top right corner of the pool is hanging off the cliff at 392. I just want to point out that this plan is with the 7-foot separation from the property line. I was requesting 5 feet so that I could get that upper right corner off the ledge. And now you can see it better in this survey, how we're trying to keep it off and on the flattest area. If the pool was still at the 5-foot separation, it would bring that corner back off of that ledge. But you know, and I know from being here last time and trying to like negotiate with you guys, I said I could push it that extra 2 feet to the 7 feet. And, you know, also to note, the survey shows that extra property on the left side that's technically not mine, but that you guys all saw that we've been, you know, using. So that fence would still go along my property line, even though there's that extra area. Also, I attached an email from Steve yesterday from the engineer. I spoke with him after the email, but you can see how he now sees that updated survey and said that that slope is steep, and he wants to try to get that top right corner off of that ledge. So, you know, I know last time you guys were saying, well, why can't we move it over? So with the updated topography, you can see it now, like where that hangs off. And so now it triggered him to say, well, how can we move it back off? So I called him and I said, well, if I get the 5, it will take it off that corner. But if I do the 7 feet, I just have to bring the width in a little bit. But you can see now why I can't move it over any further. And it's because of those slopes. Also, I wanted to mention I did reach out to a lawyer in Somers to discuss that additional property that I know we were all speaking about. I was informed that it would be called a boundary line agreement, and with that, it will not change my setback requirements. So he said the setbacks would still be based off of my true property line, and with that, I was advised that it would be better for me to not merge the two, meaning to get the variance for the pool on my true property line, put the fence up on my true property line, and that way it would negate any issues. Even if someone said, oh, I want to come reclaim this, well, my fence is on my property line anyway. And then when that's all done, I can go for the boundary line agreement because I have an electric fence over there, I have a zip line, etc. So it would help that, but it won't change my setbacks for the pool requirement.
Well, and so can you elaborate a little bit on what that boundary line?
Yeah, so the boundary line agreement, what it means is it'll allow me full use of that area, but it takes any liability off of the neighbor, meaning that if someone jumps on my trampoline and gets hurt, they're not liable, because technically it's their property, they are. But if I get an agreement, it means going forward, even though it's been used by my house for the last 27 years, going forward, I can continue always using it, but it's still legally theirs, but they don't have any issues if something were to happen on it. So that way it helps both of us, so that I
Does that carry from owner to owner, or that's just with the current, would that be an agreement with the owner or with the property in perpetuity?
I'm not 100% sure. The main thing was that it doesn't change the setback requirements, because he was like, no matter what, even if you get it, your pool variance will still be on your true property line. So he was like, and if you put the fence up on your property line, it's on your property line anyway. You're not going into that spot anyhow. But I do want to get it anyway because I have an electric fence there. I have a zip line. I have other things, but it has nothing to do with the pool part. It won't change those requirements.
Did he also talk about an actual lot line adjustment?
Yeah, he said that was a bad idea. He was like, you can get into a big, it's not friendly, it's not very nice to do. We can change taxes, your neighbor can get really mad. He was like, a boundary line agreement we do all the time for situations like this. So that way you can just keep using it for forever, he said, and then it just takes their liability away. And he goes, it's just a piece of paper. He goes, I draw it up, we sign it, that's it. But no setback changes with that.
I mean, keep in mind that with a boundary line, adjustment, if you were to take that property, you'd buy that from the neighbor. So the neighbor supposedly, or
No, we
think-
wouldn't have to buy it. It's just an agreement saying I can use it, but it's still theirs.
What happened?
Yeah, but that would-
Buy it.
Hmm?
But have you looked in buying the piece of property?
We don't want to do that.
a lot line, is-
Right, and we don't,
Yeah, I understand all that, but in the sense of buying it and, because now you're using a piece of property, he's paying taxes on it anyway.
I mean, we were advised not to try to do that. And so I'm just gonna do the boundary line agreement but it's separate, because either way, the pool is gonna be from my fence, which is gonna be my true property line either way.
and just to reiterate here, so
Mhm.
it's like if I'm looking at the survey here,
Yep,
the front left side of the pool is 5 feet from the property line, and then the back of the pool is 7 feet, right? That's how you've kind of shifted the pool a little bit to work with the slope, right?
on that, it's 7 feet on the bottom left corner and it's like 9 feet on the top left. So I moved the whole thing over because when I came last time, it was 5 feet on the bottom and 7 feet on the top. So do you see it's like shows like a little 7 foot at that bottom left?
Yeah, because if I'm looking at the survey right now, it says 7 feet at the back, doesn't it? I think that's a 7 there. It's very tiny.
It's
Seven at the front.
at the front,
Yeah,
yes.
cool.
7 at the front.
This is the driveway, this is the 7 feet in front is right.
Yeah.
Am I looking at the wrong?
This is the current that I have, small print,
It looks like it's 7 feet right there.
right, but this is a patio, this is the pool.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. I'm confusing the patio with the pool. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I see it. Thank you.
Yep.
Couldn't figure that out.
Sorry.
Now, have you ever approached the county regarding the setback from the well?
Yes, I have. And I sent a bunch of emails to poor Tom over here, but essentially I reached out to multiple people, the land engineers, I have emails, and no one actually knows who put that into order. They said that the only variance that they can give is if I cannot get well water. And I said, but what about this pool requirement? And they were like, well, we're not really sure who made this requirement. Some towns aren't using it, they said. So then one person at the Department of Health said, oh, it's only 25 feet. So I sent that to him and I go, they said 25, let's just go with that. But the rule is 50. So he was like, they just don't know what they're saying. So yes, I did try that for months before I even came for the variance and sent the emails to Tom.
So Tom Tuma, the building inspector, you're of the impression that it is 50 feet is the regulation. That's what it says there.
I got a mailing from the Department of Health. I believe it was April of 2023 with this updated separation distance. The prior one was 25 or 35, something like that.
Right.
They upped it to 50.
And
So I
what
got
are they concerned of? If you could, I'm trying to understand the logic, contamination?
I have,
Nobody gets it.
I don't,
Because the pool sealed system, I really,
And it's
See-
chlorinated.
I don't know how it contaminated. Okay, but
And the well goes upwards towards my house and the pool's in it makes zero sense. Yes. And when I originally put a deposit down for the pool, this was before this well thing got sent out to everybody. So we had it all planned out to go next to my patio. And then this well thing came out and now I tried the fight with the Board of Health. It just didn't.
Right.
work.
So we can give you zoning variances, but we can't give a variance in regard to Department of Health regulations.
Yeah.
So, then we can.
Have you ever thought about doing a gunite pool? I know it'd be quite a bit more, but have you looked into it?
What would that change though? Because I still,
You can change the design, will be a little bit smaller. You can make it like a kidney shape or.
even still, I only have that small area in that back left that I have to put it. So even if it was a different shape, it has to be the 50 feet, which I'm just hitting. And then it has to be in that left corner off the steep slope, like Steve said. So it's like either way, it has to fit in there. So this pool, it is the smallest one that they have. It's the 14 feet, which I told Steve I'll even cut it down to 12 feet width if I have to get off that slope. I mean, it's essentially becoming like a soaking tub, but it's like it's the only area that I have to put it, unfortunately.
I mean, it seemed to me the better alternative would be to put closer to the wellhead, but we can't do.
Absolutely.
Because that's the only flat spot on the property from when I visited that you can really work with, unless you move it onto the neighbor's property, which obviously you cannot.
Right. I'd love to have it closer to the well. I mean, that's where I'd want it, but it can. So it's like there's still that little flat piece right back there, as you see, like where that slope is before 392, where I can fit it. Like I can fit it just in there if I don't put any, patio around the three sides, and it would just fit just perfect in there.
This is far fetched. How about drilling a new well?
Oh, well, I mean, I called, it was like $60,000. It's way far fetched. And actually they heard about this Board of Health thing. I called the well company here and they heard about this. They said that other people have called and asked the same question. And she was like, it's insane. Nobody's gonna be able to do that. It's more than the pool.
And the patios don't affect the 50 feet.
No.
No requirement for the 50-foot setback for patio.
Water's edge.
Yep.
Okay.
The water's edge.
I mean, the house is certainly closer than 50 feet to the wellhead.
Absolutely.
Know what the reasoning behind the requirement is.
Yeah.
Actually, the bathroom in my house is closer to the wellhead. We measured it, and I was like, if my bathroom is close to the wellhead, why could a chlorinated pool not be? It doesn't make any sense.
Right. Okay. Any other questions from board members at this point in time? Any other discussion items?
Vic, this is Tom Burke.
Hi, Tom.
Vic,
Go
I
ahead.
think that, from what the applicant is saying now, it sounds as if the application is now for a 7-foot variance on the lot line that's, I'll say, closest to the well, and a 9-foot variance on what I'll say is the back edge of the pool. Is that correct?
So actually, if it's a 15-foot is required, they're offering 7. So it's between an 8-foot variance and 6 feet variance.
Yeah, exactly.
But to clarify, are you still asking for the 10-foot variance so you can do the 5?
I mean, I would like that, but I was gonna gauge
With
here because the most I can do is 7. So like in a negotiate, like if that's the way I can get it, I'll do the 7 and I'll get it in there. But of course, I'd like,
You'd like the 10-foot
Yeah.
variance.
of course, yeah, because then I'm lessening my problem even more based on Steve's email. He's like, you get it off there. But if I have to, I will do the 7.
Okay. But the application is still for 10, but she's presented a drawing trying to work with us where she could do only request 8 instead of
Correct.
10.
Yeah.
And the pool is quite modest in size here.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at, measured out. It's not very big.
It's tiny. It's tiny. It's really the only option that we have, but I'm okay with that. I mean, unless I'm allowed to put it in the front yard. I don't think I am. So.
No, that's probably not gonna work. Okay.
And I will put the fence, like I said, along that left side along the property. I'll put it along the back cliff and then up the house. So like it will, still be efficiently into my property and protected from the cliff and from the left side.
And the fence is going to be 6 feet or under. So
Yes.
Won't be, because anything above 6 feet.
Right. You have to get, yep.
Okay, I have a question for Tommy. regarding the fence around the swimming pool. But how I'm looking at this here, the fence incorporates patio.
It goes all the way to the drive, towards the driveway and then across to the house.
So theoretically, the pool itself is not enclosed with a chain link or a fence around the pool itself. So theoretically, you can just walk out the back door.
Yeah, the code allows you to use a wall of a dwelling. You have to safeguard the openings from that dwelling to pool area via alarm or
Right, the door has to have self-closing.
self-chain devices.
Yeah, it will be attached to the house, so that will be part of and then I'll make sure the back door has the self-closing latch and the alarm and the whole thing, so that way.
In case a kid doesn't walk out and.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old, but
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, right.
And there's water alarms required.
Right. So if they're splashing all of a sudden, and you're right.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, this is code 2 with splash alarms and stuff nowadays?
Yeah, if you don't, unless you have a power safety cover, then you don't need a water alarm.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Maybe what we should do, why don't we take this out to the public for comment? I'd like to see if anybody else has anything to say about this. So anybody here in the audience, anybody online, you can just dial in to one of the numbers in the white box, put in the meeting ID number, and you come on with us and ask us any questions or make any comments in regard to this application.
Can
Do
you
we have
hear me?
anybody?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know if I had to dial in or if I
No,
could just
no,
talk.
good. No, you're already on, so you're
Okay.
good to go. Would you like to speak in regard to this application?
Yeah, just a few things.
Can you I'm sorry to
I'm
interrupt.
sorry,
Can you
I'm
give us your-
Cecilia. I'm the next door neighbor
And what address are you at?
They're on the other side of the house.
on
Okay.
29 Bedell.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought one of my biggest issues was privacy, but I guess it still is. When we talk privacy, I'm talking privacy, meaning whatever type of thing that you could put up for privacy. In other words, I don't want to see the pool or, the people in the pool.
Am I allowed to answer?
No, please.
No, if you let me speak first, if you look out my husband's office window, I can completely see their side yard.
Let me ask you this. If I'm facing the applicant's house, are you on the left-hand side or the right-hand side?
Right hand.
You're on the right-hand side.
You
Okay, so
see
this is not the
29
neighbor.
Bedell
who
on
you're-
this map? That's
Okay.
me.
Okay. Okay, continue, please. Thank you.
So currently, the neighbor on the other side of me has a pool. And it's completely private. There's trees blocking us in between. And it's fine. It's never been an issue. I could hear them sometimes. I don't care to hear children playing. It's fine with me. But the point is there's trees and it's private. Privacy is a big issue because I don't think it would be right for me to have to look at a neighbor's pool or pool parties for that matter. And I could see that whole yard from the windows of my house or if I walked along the side of my house. Currently, we have some trees in bloom right now, but if they're not in bloom, then it's completely visible. So privacy is a big issue. This thing about the boundary line adjustment agreement, this is the first I'm hearing about this.
It's on the other side of the house.
Yeah, please don't say anything. Yeah,
All
this
that have
boundary
nothing
line,
to do with me.
yeah, this boundary line adjustment that's being requested has nothing to do with you. This is the
Oh, okay,
neighbor
that's
on
fine, that's fine.
the other side of the house. Yeah, this,
Oh, it's for 25 Dell, okay. So,
now
no
keep it,
issue with
well, one thing
that.
I would, can I just mention one thing here for you?
sure,
If we were to tell the applicant that they were not allowed to have a 10-foot variance and had to move the pool to meet the 15-yard setback or the 15-foot setback, it would be actually closer to your property. So where the pool is being placed is actually further from your property than normally would be. And keep in mind that an applicant can have a pool, so you
yeah,
can't
no,
just say
that's
your neighbor. They can have
fine. The only
yeah.
thing I ask is for privacy. If there's gonna be a pool right on the side yard, which is completely visible from my property, then I would like some privacy, some type of privacy, whether it's trees, bushes, fence, something.
I just want to, can I just ask you one quick question? Just to make sure we're 100% clear, the pool is on the opposite boundary, right? We're clear on that? It's
Can
not
you
on
put
the,
the
not
map
on the
up
border.
again? Because I'm not clear. No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
The pool is going on the opposite boundary, not the side that borders your house, the side that borders the Pooney's house.
Oh. Wow, was I totally misunderstanding this whole thing?
Okay, I'm glad I,
Okay, hold on a second. Oh, zoom out on 27 Bedell again.
Yep.
Okay, where the arrows pointing, that's where the pool is gonna be?
Mm,
Yes.
That's correct, way up there.
Oh.
It's actually as far from your property as you can pretty much get
Why
it.
did when we sent the letters out, I thought it was going to be right on top of my property.
nope.
No.
You actually have a lot
If
of.
you go, can you zoom back to the map again? I just want to say something about that.
To see their pool, I think you need binoculars or a drone, quite honestly.
No.
I'd be frightened.
Do you see, hold on. Do you see where the swing is? Zoom. Let's see more of the property. Okay. Do you see where the swing set is over there?
Yes.
That's where I thought the pool was going, right in front of the swing.
No.
Swing set.
No.
No, not at all.
Oh, then I have no issues. It's going
Okay.
on the other
Good.
side of the
Excellent.
house.
Sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Why was there such a misunderstanding?
Yeah, just ask me.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
Didn't it say 5 foot from my house?
No,
5 foot from the
Every-
other side of the property, not yours. And it's 5 foot from the property line, not the house.
Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't the notes to me saying that it would be 5 feet from my property line?
No, a public notice is required to be sent out to all of the
Okay,
property owners within 250 feet of the property line of this property.
okay.
So
So it's
you got
actually
a notice,
on
but it,
25 Bedell line.
Correct.
yeah.
Nothing to do with my line.
No.
It's far
And
from your,
I have no issues with this, so this, I don't
Great.
know why
Thank
this
you.
went so awry.
okay. All right, thank you very much.
Are we sure we're sure that's what it is?
We're all
correct?
sure, yes.
Okay. I don't know how I thought it was gonna be right on my property line. I don't
Yeah.
know how that happened. I'd have to read all the emails to,
Yeah, we have a site plan that lays out exactly where the pool is proposed. Yeah.
can you
And
just
I
put the
can
map
assure
up
you it's
one
not on
more
your property line.
time? Just put the map up one more time and just show me with the pointer again where the pool's going. I'm sorry. I'm just floored by this, that I thought it was gonna be right on the side yard. That has nothing to do with me, that side
Yeah,
of the.
right where the cursor is on the screen,
Right.
that's where the pool's gonna go.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's pretty far from your property. Yep.
So it's really the variances with 25 and 27, not 29.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, I totally misunderstood and
Okay,
that's fine with me. I have no issues with that.
all right. Well, thank you. We're glad that's resolved. Okay, does anybody else wish to speak in regard to this application? It is my understanding that the joining neighbor where the 5 foot with 10-foot variance would be against has no objection.
they wrote a letter, yeah.
And they wrote a letter to us acknowledging that. So they seem to not object to the pool's location.
No, they know what we've been going through.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak in regard to this application here present or online? No? Okay. Final comments from board members, questions, issues, anything you want to discuss in regard to it? I
I
think we all
just
have
know when the pool is planned for next year, or is it gonna start this year?
I don't know.
But well, until the applicant has all their approvals and can coordinate with the contractor, I don't believe they really know at this point in time.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I think that, so my initial concern on this application was the significance of this variance. The one factor that I consider there is that there's a large area on that side of the property, which clearly the neighbor does not use. The neighbor's property is, there are walls and fences, got to be at least another 20 feet in that direction. It's probably about 4 to 6 foot the neighbor's property is about 4 to 6 foot raised. So I'm certainly I'm a little, having spent some time on this and having been to the site, I'm a little more comfortable than I was initially. I would prefer that they did a lot line, but it sounds like that's not something they're willing to do. To me, 5 feet versus, the more I think about it, 5 feet versus 7 feet doesn't really make a huge difference to me. So if I was going to vote yes, I just as soon vote yes on 5 or 7 rather than 7, so that they can put in the safest pool possible given their slopes. So my vote would be either for the 5. If it was yes, it would be for the 5. If it was no, it would be no. But I've certainly gotten more comfortable given that extra land on that side of the property. I would be most comfortable if they would purchase that piece of land to do some sort of adjustment, but it sounds like that's off the table.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for your time and good luck with the pool, Lauren.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can hear me, but
And I'm
All right.
assuming
thank
this
you so
boundary
much. And I'm
agreement-
sorry for the misunderstanding about the initial, where the
Thank
location
you.
was.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
have to
thank
continue
you.
on with the meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
This boundary agreement, that sounds like, okay, that can't hurt to add. I'm assuming that would be with the owner, not something that would carry from owner to owner. I don't know if anybody has any experience with that sort of,
Typically can run with the land.
it can.
Be filed. I don't know what type.
Yeah, it does have to be filed with the county
Oh.
clerk, he said. So maybe that does mean it runs with the land and not the owner. That might be.
But again, the specifics, we don't know from here, so we.
But we could condition.
Well, it's not their property, it's in their best interest, but I don't think we would condition it. I think for their own protection, they should consider, they should do. But for me, having been to the property, I'm a lot more comfortable this month than last month because of the unique topography and while it looks like there's a lot of property here, there's a very small amount that is actually usable and the only place for a pool would be this position on the property. So I would be granting or willing to grant the 5 feet setback.
Right. As if I may add, as Tom mentioned about the adjoining property with the wall, I have to say it is well screened. So that to me is
Yeah.
plus 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom Burke, did you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I thought it was a substantial request. I still think it's substantial. And I recognize the what's been said about the adjoining property owner. So that's one person. If somebody else comes in, buys that property and says, why is this pool essentially sitting on my property line or 5 foot from my property line? So I think it's a substantial ask and frankly, I'm not in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. I did visit the site and I felt like there was no other feasible place to put this pool, certainly, if they want a pool. I think the pool is of a modest size. It's unique. I do think the variance is somewhat substantial. I think I would also agree with Tom Newman here that I would grant the 10-foot variance and limit the setback to 5 feet. I think that's what I would, how I'm going to come down on this. So, okay.
I would compromise with 7.
To me, the difference between 5 and 7 is so minimal. We're splitting hairs. I'd rather see the pool in a safer placement off the steep slopes than to risk it.
So does that mean you'd want it you'd want it at 5?
I would.
5 feet off the property line,
5
get
feet.
it away from the steep slope. Yeah, I was surprised with this steep slope in the back house.
See it.
Because, you look at the topo and I guess you kind of figure that out, but until you're there, you don't appreciate how steep.
Yeah, how steep it is.
Right.
Very steep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any final comments from the applicant? Anything else you'd like to say before we vote on the application? Just want to make you aware, 7-member board, you have to have 4, either for or against, in order for the application to either pass or to fail. So I just,
Okay, yeah, I mean, the last thing I'd say is just that I am putting the fence on my true property line. And if someone said, hey, I'm gonna knock down my, rock wall and all that, and I want to reclaim it, it's still okay, because I will have the fence on my true property line and the pool will be on my property. Like, I'm not encroaching on them at all.
Mhm.
And if I could put it somewhere else, I really would. I just can't.
yeah, one thing I thought is that the pool was very modest in size. If you were asking for this pool, I might say, well,
Of course,
something else, but
yeah,
I think the pool is on the small end.
it is. It is the smallest that they are letting me do.
Right, right.
And just, should you be granted this variance after a vote, you want to be very particular,
Absolutely. No, I had it all staked. It's staked and the lines even for the pool.
stake
staked.
twice.
Yeah, I had a company come just to be
Yep.
careful for it.
Because
Okay.
we've had surveys and pools and problems.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're exact when you do this. So
Absolutely.
you don't have to come before us again or the neighbor gets, upset for whatever.
Absolutely.
There'll be an updated survey on completion.
Okay, great.
So if
Great.
anything changes.
All right, so I think it's time to vote in regard to this application. First, I'm going to ask for the type of application.
Type 2?
Second.
Mr. Burke,
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito,
Aye.
Mr. Gio,
Aye.
Mr. Newman,
Aye.
Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion as to whether we're going to grant the applicant's request for a 10-foot side yard variance in regard to the placement of the pool?
I'll make a motion to grant the applicant's request for a 10-foot side yard variance for pool placement.
Second?
Mr. Burke,
Nay.
Ms. DiPolito,
Aye.
Mr. Gio,
Aye.
Mr. Newman,
Aye.
Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Your application has been granted.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Yes, you're good to go. The building department will follow up with them. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, we're going to go to the second item on the agenda this evening. This is the application of Joseph Casella and Anwar Gallego. This is an application for a side yard area variance for a proposed deck addition in an R10 residential district at 24 Miller Avenue, Yorktown Heights. Is someone here to represent the applicant? Sir, if you could please come up and give us your name and address.
Hey, good evening, all right? My name is Joe Casella. I'm at 24 Miller Ave. I'm coming here to build a side deck and I need to request a 5-inch variance, about 3 feet of it.
Okay, so let me just see here. Yeah. Did you say a 5-inch variance?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to make sure it wasn't 5 feet. So 25 is required and we've got 24.7 existing.
Yeah.
This is already built.
Oh, no, it's not built.
Now you want to build
I
it
want to build it, yes.
and you need that extra 5 inches.
Yes,
Why do you need the extra 5 inches? I mean,
just aesthetically.
Just
you know,
aesthetically.
It's gonna go from the front to the back of the house, so
Okay.
just didn't make sense.
It's going to continue the line, continue the same line as the house frontage.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Okay.
Okay,
It's an easy one.
So
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
the house is already in that space.
Yeah.
Just a pre-existing.
It's pre-existing, last year we had built a deck in the front of it, so we just wanted to match it on the other side. That's the side of our kitchen. I just, really would like to be able to walk out the kitchen, maybe sit down, barbecue,
Okay.
I was curious, I was looking at this earlier, on Google Maps. How do you enter? Is there a driveway? Is it that Griffin where you park?
I'll tell you, Griffin, this house is actually this year, it's been in my family for 60 years, and we've been using Griffin past 60 years.
Which is a dead end
It's pretty
paper
much that
street?
road. We're trying to acquire it. And,
Uh,
I didn't want to bring it up tonight with you guys, but it is something that we've been making.
That's how you access your property?
That's our only way in, that's our only way out.
No other driveway?
No,
Okay.
Sir, Mr. Casella, is that a paper road or is it paved?
this is a paper road,
Okay.
and it's
Thank you.
not.
Interestingly, it has a sign though. It has a green street sign.
Yeah, all the way up in other properties in Shadow Rock, I actually saw that they did have a sign and
Yeah.
other paper roads inside there. But at the same point, I did hear of other people that were able to purchase the road from the town.
Right.
I tell you, I really wouldn't mind it. I don't mind paying the extra taxes or whatever it might be
Driveway.
to make it a driveway.
Yeah.
It does. I got a beautiful wife, and she gets dirty every time she's going because it's just gravel down on it. But there's even a paved walkway to the front of our house. On that road as well. So again, we've been maintaining it. My neighbor has a fence, a 6-foot fence up right on the side of his house. And again, it's been in the family for 60 years. So if I could just make that legal, I would actually,
Okay.
Yep.
Regarding the pre-existing deck, I know that's not in front of us.
yep.
When was that deck put in, or is it pre-existing where it's been upgraded in the sense of,
Well,
Right.
this year, we actually, my architect Stephanie Fox helped me out with this with you guys. I built it during COVID. You guys were shut down. I had no other way in and out of the house. So really, it was dilapidated to get in or out. So I took the initiative to build it, and I guess I kind of got bored being home from work, and I built it a little bit larger than what I should. And
I remember that application coming before us. Yes.
I do appreciate you guys helping, leading my way with the whole variance on that behalf. This
Yeah.
side, it's a smaller house, it's 1,000 square feet house. So we're just looking for a little bit more room to spread out. That's why we were trying to build on the opposite side of it.
Yeah. Does anybody else have access to Griffin Place? I mean, is there any other home that needs to use that? You're
It's completely fenced off.
right. You're the only one that really uses that
Yep.
property. Okay, I'm just curious. Right.
There's
Didn't-
there's two other neighbors, sorry to cut you off, but there's two other neighbors. And again, there was an iron fence, which was replaced with a wooden fence. And then the land was split between me and my other neighbor, where he kind of has a couple feet and I have a couple feet, and that's all the way on the back of the property. As far as up off of Miller, I pretty much use that entire space for a driveway.
You're set quite a bit back from Miller.
We're about 180 feet back or 160.
And there's another house behind you.
Yep, that's
Can you go?
my neighbor, yep.
Okay. And he accesses his house from North Drive?
Well, he actually accesses it from Shadow, so from around the block,
Oh, okay.
completely around the block. And a step further is that I had the water department there. I wanted to, cross my T's and dot my I's with that whole entire situation because there's no pipes or any public water or anything coming up that street. And I said, if there's really no reason that it's not being, used for any sort of utility, why can't I, address you guys and see if there's some way of me making that, my own property rather than, continually maintaining it and, it's not.
Tom
not being
Toomer, I think you'd have to go that's for the town board. You have to go to town board to request the purchase from the town board, correct?
Yep.
Yes, town board, not us.
All right.
So certainly this is a very minor variance. It's a very reasonable to request to me.
yes.
Keep the deck in line with the house. I'd be okay.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I see here is that, minimum lot requirements in R10 district is 10,000 square feet. This lot is 25,000 square feet. So it's really in this property. I mean, this property is probably about as private yet, and the variance is 0.3 of a foot. Yeah, this is one of the smallest ones we've ever.
No, it's a beautiful property too. That's why we wanted to put the deck there just to be able to enjoy it. I mean, it really showcases Shadow Rock, if I could say that,
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Well,
Okay,
I have no problem, from my perspective, Vic, I have no problem with it.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
It's a reasonable ask.
Yeah. Any other comments from board members?
No.
Let's bring this out to the public. Once again, if anybody here wishes to speak in regard to this application, or if anybody wants to call in and come online and speak in regard to this application, we're more than willing to let them do that. Anybody here wishes to speak in regard to the application? No. Okay, we'll just give it a minute for online. Any final comments from board members? About as minor of a variance as it gets.
Yeah.
And we do have the, engineering that there's no environmental would be needed.
If there was for 5 inches, that would be, you never know.
Yes, the entire deck.
Oh, for the entire deck, oh, okay.
I tried to talk him out of it.
Okay, yeah, please, you know.
There's nobody trying to call in, Vic.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Okay.
You're welcome.
Sir, I'll give you a last chance. Anything else you'd like to say in regard to the application before we vote?
No, just thank you for your time. I do appreciate it tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to have a motion for the type of action.
Type 2?
Second,
Mr. Burke,
aye.
Ms. DiPolito,
Aye.
Mr. Gio,
Aye.
Mr. Newman,
Aye.
Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can we have a motion as to whether we are going to grant the side yard area variance in the amount of 0.3 feet?
Inches.
It's 3.3 feet or 5 inches.
I'll make a motion to grant the application for a side yard area variance for a deck addition as.
Second.
Mr. Burke,
Aye.
Ms. DiPolito,
Aye.
Mr. Gio,
Aye.
Mr. Newman,
Aye.
Chairman Canestra.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. Your application has been granted.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys have a good evening, right?
You
too.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the next item on the agenda this evening. This is the application of Dynamite Properties, Inc. This is an application for variance for the width common driveway at 0 landlocked, Tree Road, Yorktown Heights. Good evening. Hello, sir. Could you please give us your name and affiliation with the applicant?
Good evening. I used to have a plaque on the wall over here. Only kidding.
Yes, we are.
Michael Caruso, Cuddy and Fader. Good evening, everyone. 445 Hamilton Avenue, White Plains, New York, for the applicant. Dynamite Properties, Thomas Rasek, who's authorized on behalf of the entity, is here tonight. So if you like, I can take you through what this application is before other boards and how it got to you.
Sure.
So in 2022, my client, who owns the undeveloped tract that is to the west of Green Tree Road here at this cul-de-sac, proposed a 3-lot subdivision to the planning board. And the 3-lot subdivision went before the planning board for approximately 1 year and resulted in a negative declaration of environmental significance in August of 2023. At that point in time, and there had been some changes, revisions to the application along the way. There was a prior applicant that owned the property before my client that had proposed a 4-lot subdivision. So those engineering and design standards, some of them had changed, and this proposal became 3 lots, and my client intends to occupy one of the lots with his family. So that, I think, design-wise, to be less busy, that was the goal. So after the neg deck, in consultation with Jerry Riley, there was an open development plan application, 280A of the town law, that was provided and put before the town board, because as you know, there's no road frontage. So the open development plan application is pending. And as part of that, some of the folks here in the crowd who we know have attended those proceedings. We had input from various agencies, fire protection, New York State Department of Transportation. So as part of that application, we spent the better part of 2 years only recently getting I would say, a no comment memo from DOT indicating that the proposal that you have in front of you here, which affects a portion of the access road that crosses a rail trail, that only that portion, which I'll show you in just a second, that the proposal we have, which is 12 feet wide with two pervious areas on either side of that one section, would be no further comments from DOT. So that was pretty extensively studied by that agency. There were mitigations, landscape plans, a lot of different plans that were put to the town board and to DOT. So let me just show you on the plan here to make it a little easier. If I could, I'm going to bring the microphone with me. Oh, maybe not.
Bend it over.
Yeah. So coming in here off Green Tree, the roadway is a grasscrete pervious surface that's 16 feet wide. Now, for 3-lot subdivision, we're advised by building inspector 16 feet's required, and that's what's provided for about 500 feet until you get to the right of way, which is the rail trail here, where I'm gesturing. And at this point, which is approximately 100 feet, we are proposing 12 feet, 12 feet of impervious and 2 feet on either side of semi-pervious. So on both sides, I'm sorry. So what you will eventually functionally have the same 16-foot wide drive, and the pervious surface will be compacted and leveled with the asphalt. So any vehicles traveling on the surface will have the same benefit as the 16-foot road it traveled in on. Now, when you get to the crossing, which is here, let me explain that and flip the page here. What you have is, this is engineered, and DOT has had these plans and specifically commented and reviewed these plans. There is only one vehicle that will be allowed to cross this right of way with the 12 feet plus two on either side. And that's controlled by 2 gates, and I'll show you those. Let me come around.
If you could just bend the microphone over to you.
Yeah,
A little-
sure. Sorry, forgive me for turning my back to you.
That's okay.
The gates are here, and the gates are here, and they can only be accessed one at a time. So for example, if there's a vehicle waiting here, that vehicle will have key code access or a secured access to that gate. We'll open the gate, and the party on the other side will not be able to open the other gates until this party, for example, crosses, reaches the other side, then the other gates will open, the car travels through, and the car that's queued on the other side will then have to do the opposite. So in reality, what I'm trying to explain, 16 feet is for 3 cars. There are 3 residential dwellings that are going to be served by this section that will be 12 feet of asphalt, plus two of impervious on either side. 1 car will only ever be traveling on that. So you have a 100-foot span with 500 feet before it of 16 feet, and you really never go down below 16 feet in width. And our variance tonight is from that 16-foot requirement. And really, functionally, what we're proposing does the exact same as the 16 feet before it. And that's mitigated by the fact that there's gated access. 1 vehicle can only cross at a time. DOT has had the opportunity to study the safety impacts, the sight distance, and we've received their comments, and they've gone to the town board. So the issues of safety, adverse impacts, physical and environmental, any offsets and mitigations have already been studied and incorporated into these plans, and we think fully satisfy the requirements in the code. So I think what we have here, just to break it down once more, it's the functional equivalent of a 16-foot road. For a small portion of it, it does have a narrower band of asphalt, but the vehicle that travels on it doesn't need 16 feet in width unless it's a very large and wide vehicle, which we don't anticipate. So from that vantage point, it's technically a 25% deviation from your code's requirement of 16 feet if you interpret it that way. We're accepting Tom Tuma's interpretation that 16 is required. I think there is probably a minimal distinction between impervious, semi-pervious, and asphalt. I'm not sure that it matters here, but we're accepting that 16 is 16. And we're not trying to, gloss over that, obviously. So
Couple questions. Number one, okay, I'm assuming the DOT takes care of the trailways?
we're not going to have any responsibility for that trailway, the maintenance of.
I just want to know how the DOT got involved.
The DOT has to give us a permit to cross. And the DOT will approve and issue a permit once we are through this process, the 288 process, and receive site plan and subdivision
My
approval.
next question. Now you
Yeah.
have two. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. That's more, okay. Now you have two gates. What about emergency vehicles?
The emergency vehicles have access to the gate codes and will have an access through the gates
Now,
and breakaway. Yeah, it's.
oh, because I'm not a member of the fire department, but if a house is on fire, I'm not gonna sit there and push buttons to open up that gate.
Yeah, so fire protection looked at that and was very explicit in how this is set up, and it does allow that access unrestricted. That was pretty heavily studied at planning and town board. So we've had comment memos from the Bureau of Fire Protection, and they have no objection to this plan.
Can you describe the operation of that gate a little bit more? So this is not a train gate. This is a full gate.
Yeah, so they'd be 16 feet wide, right? And they will open in the direction that you see toward the driver. I'm sorry, away from the driver coming in and toward the driver coming out. So they only open one way. They can only allow access through one gate at a time. And for example, if there's a vehicle traveling in, that vehicle, and if there's a vehicle waiting on the other side queued up, that vehicle on the other side will not have the ability to open those gates until this vehicle has navigated across the right of way. That gate is closed, and then the next gate will be activated. Only then.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
now is this road gonna be part of Green Tree or is it gonna be private and why?
Well, the gates are obviously to protect the occupants and the users of the right of way. And it's so that no one errantly goes through the right of way and strikes a pedestrian or anyone on a bicycle.
It's a safety issue.
Safety, 100%. Yep. So the access will be off the cul-de-sac on Green Tree right here.
And that's gonna be a deeded to the town, or that's gonna be a private road,
That's going to be a private road.
shared driveway.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
who said the Empire Rail Trail now is a pedestrian?
I think there are bicycles on that portion. Well, yeah. Aren't there bicycles? Yeah. Oh, okay.
More bicycles than pedestrians.
So,
Right. But I have to emphasize, though, that DOT for 2 years had the plans and other plans that are modified to result in what you have in front of you now with the very specific directionals, signage requirements, crossing requirements, gate requirements, and safety requirements and sight distance requirements. So that was exclusively within that agency's purview. And I can't say the agency has approved this, but they have no further comments on this plan, which is why we've submitted it to you.
Who
Now,
does
Mr.
have to, sorry.
Now, Mr.
Well,
Caruso,
we
this
can't-
is
we
Tom
can't
Burke.
say they've approved it because they haven't issued a highway permit yet. But assuming that there are no other factors that change the design of this and the requirements that DOT has imposed, then the work permit should issue, provided that this remains unchanged, which is our application, of course.
Aside from residents, aside from emergency vehicles, how do delivery trucks, moving trucks, how do they access and given their size?
Yeah, so with Amazon, and you want to speak to that? Yeah, but the coding and the securitized access, how are they going to access differently than you? Come up to the mic, Tom.
are we talking about maybe there's an intercom system?
Yeah, there might be an intercom system or.
That they would come up to the gate, buzz the house that they want to get into.
And come.
The occupant in the house would then have to let them in, speak. I would assume that's how it would work.
Yeah, so if the deliveries are not possible. For example, if you didn't have a mailbox and Amazon can't deliver without a mailbox, for example, they won't deliver. So that will be incumbent upon the party receiving the deliveries to designate the proper place to be delivered to, or to have something like an intercom. Okay.
It's just like.
Okay. Forgive me.
We can adjust it for.
So I misspoke on the issue of access and securitizing it. It can be locked, but it will not require each driver to input a unique code. Sorry, I misspoke on that.
Just makes you stop.
So if the vehicles are delivering packages, they will have to stop. The gates will open. The gates will not open on the other side until the vehicle crosses, and then they will obviously lock out the direction.
Okay, so there's
Now-
code secured.
It can be, right? It can be, but for all purposes, that would limit others' use of it. So it's probably not going to be the case.
Okay.
Sorry,
Now-
Tom.
If I read this correctly, you have granted a right of way, if I'm using the term correctly, for Green Tree development for their accessibility.
Yeah, Green Tree.
Who would that be?
So the property itself over here benefits from a permanent easement granted by the state over the right of way. So they have a 16-foot, actually a 16.5-foot easement in perpetuity over the rail trail bed to access their property. Otherwise it'd be landlocked, and that can't happen.
Are these houses built currently?
No, the houses are not built. No.
This is still, so what other approvals? This hasn't, so you're still waiting for planning board. This road isn't even necessarily approved yet, right?
Well, no, the road has been studied, commented on. The plans have been revised. Our engineers submitted probably 2 to 3 different versions of this with different construction plans, different sign plans to DOT. That process alone took about 2 years to be refined down to this product, which they have no further comments on at that agency. So further proceedings, we were referred from the town board here to, obtain the necessary relief, if necessary, from the width requirement for the road crossing here. If this is granted, we will be back to town board to continue prosecuting the 280A open development plan application. Right. The negative declaration from the planning board, which was early in the process, we still have to go back to the planning board ultimately to get subdivision approval after the open development plan at the town board level.
Yeah.
So.
If if it was just one house going there, okay? The 12-foot would be adequate, correct? Just for one house back there?
I'd have to defer to Tom on that. I think it would be 12 foot. But they could build one house as of right on.
Your driveway then, just a plain driveway.
Sure.
It would be,
Yeah, the 2020 fire code addresses see access driveways and see access roads, and they're defined differently. The number of houses served, the distance that you have to travel that that way or driveway, and the fire bureau had reviewed the application, made some comments. The applicant came back and provided the information that the fire bureau was looking for, and ultimately we gave the planning memo that we have no objections to a proposed plan.
okay, I was just curious, for one house, would there be a unique problem?
The number of houses come into play when.
Yes, no, I understand that,
But yeah.
There's a couple of
Miss-
questions.
Mr. Caruso, my name is Tom Burke. I'm remote.
How are you, sir?
In terms of the application, it's essentially for 100 feet that you're seeking relief from this board, correct?
Correct. And
Now,
as
I understand from the Green Tree Circle, did you say 500 or 600 feet? That will be 16 foot.
approximately 500 feet. Yeah, it'll be compliant for those 500 for sure.
And then beyond the 100 foot that you're seeking, is it going to be another 16 foot
Correct.
into wherever the houses are going to be on the premises?
Yep. If you would look at it as a small bottleneck for that 100
Yeah.
feet, then it resumes to 16. Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying is essentially because you're on with your review with the DOT, Department of Transportation, that in effect it will be 16 foot, but 2 foot on either side are going to be pervious as opposed to impervious surfaces.
Yeah, and that pervious will be compacted and leveled with the impervious
Yeah,
So even
I
if,
heard, I heard you say that. I heard you.
gotcha, okay.
All right. And so in effect, you'll have 16, there'll be 16 foot throughout from the property line all the way in to wherever the houses are going to be built.
Correct, exactly.
Now, who owned the property from the cul-de-sac to the trails?
That's our property. That's my client's property.
That was.
Don't you own that? Hold on. I think, let's make sure we're talking about the right property.
Are you talking about from Green Tree Road to the trail?
Yes, right at the cul-de-sac.
That's still down there. Forgive me. Sorry, Mr. Gio, I think you were correct. This paper road here, this is Town of Somers.
Okay.
I think to Mr. Newman's point, I might have also said, were we going to ask for dedication in the future or whether that was private? I was incorrect about that. Thank you.
That's a paper.
It'll become a town road.
Yeah.
No.
Will it? Well, you can make an offer of dedication, but that's not something you have to decide necessarily tonight, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple questions. The yellow colored directional signs provided on the plan, those directional signs regarding the trail will be on either side of the driveway, on either side of the trail, on the driveway.
Yeah, these have to be on either side, correct?
So that delivery vehicles, other people know that they're going to be crossing a trailway.
Yeah, from the left and the right, they're being made aware of the pedestrian and bicycle traffic, and the rumble strips as well. So there are rumble strips placed on the surface.
What is going to be put on the trailway to warn bicyclists or pedestrian or whoever that they are approaching possibly an active driveway?
Yeah, is there painting on the surface as well, right? So you can see, I think on the drawing here, right about here, there's going to be painted markings and signs before on either side of the intersection, the proposed intersection, if you will, to warn pedestrians and bicyclists up ahead that there is a crossing.
Okay. Because I mean, the main concern I have is not so much about size with the variance, but just the crossing of the trailway and,
Mhm.
the safety involved in that, because that trailway, there's a lot of bicyclers that, quite honestly, some of them move really quick.
You're right.
And there's a lot of pedestrians, and I'm just wondering to myself, what kind of safety problems is this? Because, I think about, Amazon or UPS drivers. I mean, they want to be in and out quick. Residents that live there to be driving out. During construction, there's going to be a lot of vehicles in and out. I mean, which leads me actually to my next question. There was something brought to my attention that there was possibly an alternative exit from the property, which was I guess, agreed to.
No, that's not
From Green Tree Development. Oh, I'm sorry, Trailside Estates.
Yeah,
Because I actually have a letter even dated May 7th, 2025.
I haven't seen that letter.
Okay, you haven't seen that?
So
Maybe we should get you a copy of this.
let me address your.
That they reiterated that they had previously offered this.
That hasn't been offered. I haven't received any offer from either Mr. Carney or his attorney, Charlie Martabano. If Charlie is still his attorney, I haven't spoken with Charlie in probably a year plus.
Okay, yes, sir. We'll let you speak as soon as
Everybody
will have an opportunity to speak.
Let me
But
address your first point.
I always want to examine all the alternatives,
Yeah.
especially if we can avoid a possible safety issue. So.
Well, let's go to your first point, which
Okay.
is an important point to validate and make sure we cover. We spent 2 years with DOT getting to this point with no further comments with their permit engineer to do the very thing that you said. What are the risks? What's the volume? What are the crossings? What are the intensity of the crossings? What are the crossings relative to other crossings, north and south in the county, which there are much busier ones? We would not have gotten to this point, and I can't speculate, but DOT would not have a no comment position at this point.
But
if there were real safety.
Did DOT know of the alternative possibility?
DOT was apprised of the fact there's another project in development. Yeah.
but
They were aware of that. We've been dealing with Ann Dorelius, DOT.
Mhm.
And like I said, that was a really extensive process. And I think not to gloss over, all the concerns operationally for this intersection, if you want to call it that, were examined by their engineers. And I don't think there was anything left to chance. Let's leave it that way. So there's really no way, I think, other than flashing lights and things that are unsightly to neighbors or wildlife, even to make this intersection more prominent and safe. And certainly, I don't have the expertise to supersede DOT and say what would be better than this. I can just tell you this process was extensive. To your second point, Mr. Carney's project, we're aware of it. Like I said, I've had dialogue with Mr. Martabano. I'm aware of it. I don't consider that an alternative. That project has not been approved. It's not developed. We haven't received a written offer of any kind. Even if it were, I would say that is a much lower quality alternative than this one because the project scale of that proposal, it has much higher density, much higher foot and vehicle traffic, and the potential for much more, you know, hazards, if you will, based on the size and volume and density of it. So, for many reasons, it's not an alternative for us.
Mr. Cruiser, that project crossing the traffic, correct?
No, but they would, I think Carney's project would be further west or north, and it would basically be what put this project would be a through. Anyway, it does connect through a different part of this property entirely. We would not need access across the railway, but
what I think might be prudent at this point in time, it's a short 4 or 5, 6, 7 sentence letter here. And maybe I should just read it just so we're all on the same page so we know what, and you could tell me whether you agree or what the issue is. This is on the letterhead of Parkview B&G LLC. And it is addressed to Supervisor Scarano here in town. The letter is dated May 7th, 2025. And it says, read Trailside Estates, dear Supervisor Scarano. I appeared before the Somers Planning Board in September 23 to present the concept plan for our project Trailside Estates. During that meeting, several board members inquired whether we would be open to providing access to the adjacent Green Tree development. I responded that while there was no direct benefit to us in doing so, we would be willing to accommodate this request through our main access road as a gesture of will and in recognition of our collaborative relationship with the town of Somers. More recently, in March 2025, I appeared once again before the planning board to further discuss the Trailside Estate project. At that time, I reaffirmed our original commitment from the September 2023 meeting. Remain willing to extend our main access road to the property line shared with the Green Tree development should access be required. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or would like to discuss this matter further. Sincerely, Ken Kearney. So I'm just bringing this to your attention as an alternative because, I say to myself, if we can avoid the safety issue with crossing the trail, and you don't have to put in the costs of all the gates and all that stuff, I would think that might be a money saver. I don't know. Is this being considered? You don't know about it. I don't know.
anyone who's represented private developers, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody, I've never encountered a purely gratuitous goodwill offer. I am not disparaging that developer. I've had no contact with him.
Oh.
Okay. I've had no contact with that developer or his attorney for quite some time. To be a qualified alternative, I want to back up to the notion that this crossing presents a safety issue. I would submit it does not. The agency that studied it extensively has come to a conclusion or a no comment position for a reason. These are not safety concerns, truly. If that were an alternative, it would have to be lawful as of today, something that we could utilize and avail ourselves of. It's not. It's conditional. It requires a negotiation, and I have no idea what that negotiation would mean for my client. And it's a completely different proposal as well, with a different access point, different length of access, different quality of access. And I don't know what would safeguard the hundreds of occupants of that project from improperly utilizing that connection. So I don't consider that a viable alternative in the sense that this board would assess an alternative. Is it something that mitigates those concerns? I truly don't think so. I know it exists and we're not pretending it doesn't exist, but again, if I had any dialogue to offer that was constructive with those individuals, I would certainly shed light on that for the board. But that's the first time I've heard of that letter. But I don't think it's a viable alternative at all.
Well, this is Tom Berkey and I'm remote. So I understand your point, but perhaps to alleviate any concerns on this board's part, maybe we should adjourn this so you have the opportunity to talk to that attorney and see is it an alternative that could be pursued, and come back to us and say yes, it can, perhaps it can be pursued, or come back and say no, we talked, it can't be pursued for whatever reason. But I think that, from my perspective, this board, we always want to know is what's going to be the most safe for the public. And I think, yes, I understand your position. DOT does not give a no comment without looking at everything. And when I've reviewed the plans that you submitted, they are extensive. But I think that from my perspective as a member of this board, if there's a potential alternative, I think it should be addressed.
Okay, I don't disagree
And
with
as
that.
you said, you
that's
did not know about this letter, and it just came to our attention 2 or 3 days ago.
I think that's a very sensible approach, and I'm happy to have that outreach and inform the board so that we're all a bit more educated on that issue. Again, I'm not trying to speak for that developer. I just have had zero contact with them. So I would be happy to do.
I understand. And another alternative, not so much alternative, but what I was, I think that the chairman had a good point about Amazon or some other, they try to get through and make their delivery as soon as possible, which we understand. That's their business. That's their business model. But I'm just thinking about it as we're talking and I'm hearing today, to alleviate that potential, could there be essentially a drop box on the Green Tree side before the driver would have to cross the rail trail?
That's possible. Yeah, and that's possible.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that if you look at the alternative and it's not an alternative and now we're back to where we are, well then I'm thinking, okay, how can we mitigate some potential traffic across there that's not part of it, certainly be for the residents, but it would not be the residents or their guests.
Now, what about the mail too? I mean, Tom brought up a very good point about, having FedEx come where you have a drop box off at the cul-de-sac, because where are the mailboxes going to go?
At the end, at the cul-de-sac. Yeah, they're gonna be. Those would be located here.
I have one other question. Jumped around real quick. From the cul-de-sac to the rail trail, that is a paper road.
Correct.
Now, who's going to maintain that part for snow plowing?
Well, that'd be our responsibility. If it's not dedicated and offered, it would be a private obligation. They would have to clear it.
All right, because the only reason why I ask is I'm retired from the town for snow plowing. I mean, worked there for 27 years and I've done a fair amount of snow plowing. In the sense of, okay, I come up to a gate, where am I going to put the snow?
It's in the plan. Yeah, it's been engineered in, but it'll be a private obligation unless and until it's offered for dedication and the town actually accepted it.
Yeah, I think,
That was even already studied as well, and there's places to put the snow. Man, they went through everything.
I don't think this variance request doesn't grant them authority to build this road or cross a trail, right? That's got to be granted by other agencies.
Right.
Yeah, we need site plan and
The way I'm reading this, we're being asked, should they be granted approvals to build this road? Can they make it 12 feet or 100-foot stretch?
Right.
The town board and the planning board, I think, still have power to approve, disapprove.
Yes.
But that, and again, that's my assumption from the reading. I'm not stating that as fact, but that appears to be the case.
Yeah.
But I do recall crossing the trail has been a contentious issue since this came up. I recall being at some town board meetings where that was discussed. It appears we have a number of people here that might weigh in on that, so I would like to hear the public comment tonight,
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
regardless of whether we decide to adjourn.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We can certainly give the floor up if you want to, if the board wants to open public.
I think I'd like to do that. So I want to make
Right.
sure we hear everybody this evening, what they'd like to say in regard to this application. Okay, so if anybody would like to speak in regard to this application, please come up. Just give us your name and address and feel free to comment on the application. This is a public hearing.
Good evening, everybody. Mike McBride, 556C, Heritage Hills. Numerous of the people here know me already, including Mr. Caruso. I am retired from New York State DOT, and I was in charge of Northern Westchester from 1997 to 2013 when I retired after 31 years of state service. And I had 32 heavy dump snowplows. I know Mr. Tuma. He speaks at some of my Heritage Hills meetings. And I was here at the planning board meetings, meeting after meeting, where we were not allowed to speak. And I know a bunch of the planning board members also, and I had to sit here and not be allowed to speak. That, in answer to some of the questions, it is New York State right away. New York State DOT is responsible for it. In the different areas that is maintained by the county or the towns, whoever, my men had to go and erect some new barriers down in Yorktown before Yorktown would accept it when it rebuilt. The crossing was from an easement from the 1880s, which was redone in 1965, and there was supposed to be a development put in there in 1965, which said, okay, this easement will be extinguished once this development is done. They never built the development back then, but the easement was never extinguished. In August 1997, State DOT Commissioner Joseph Boardman, who promoted me in September 97 to be in charge of Northern Westchester, he signed the document that said the lock gate requirement and the easement shall continue, and a permit will not be unreasonably withheld. The big estate, the Calvin Klein guy, whoever it is, he's got lock gates up and down. In all the previous meetings, or the majority of previous meetings here, the lock gate requirement, even though Chairman Curry was asking specific questions about it, was constantly overlooked. I had to issue permits to Ken Carney, numerous different permits up on Route 6. The retention basins were screwing up, icing up on Route 6. Met with Ken Carney. Please fix these basins. I gave him use of state right-of-way to put some trenches in to keep the water off of Route 6. Ken Carney, in that meeting, specifically said that he would give the access. And he said it again at a second meeting, which I was in attendance at both these meetings. I worked the elections here. I worked the elections for Town Hall since 2020. I served on the Somers Utility Task Force at Morrissey's request when I first moved into Heritage Hills. Back around 2008, 2010, somewhere around that time, my permit engineer, who was not an engineer, brought this issue to my attention about this application. I am involved and called into court still to this day on state DOT lawsuits. I still maintain my professional engineer license. Back when they applied, I don't know who it was, an applicant applied to cross the rail trail about 2008, 2010. I had previously prohibited crossings of the rail down in Millwood. There's other access. I don't want people getting killed. And the engineer code, the ethics of the engineer code says that the safety of the public is number one. There's numerous different things in here. There's stuff that I reviewed from previous applicants and the state and the environmental stuff. There's claims that there's no adverse problems. the number of people that come here show you the adverse problems. It just goes on and on and on. The code of Town of Somers specifically states that adjacent property owners shall work together. Let me find this. Somers Town Code 170.96.12, integration of access, pedestrian, vehicular, and utility between neighborhood properties shall be required. It's not a possibility. It's not a, well, maybe. It shall be required. And about me working the voting stuff, uninitiated by me, Ken Carney came up to me and said, hey, Mike, I'm giving them access. And I used to have a photographic memory, and the verbal memory, my old bosses always said, don't challenge McBride. He doesn't forget a thing. I'm 72 years old now, but I prohibited that crossing back when I was still working, because there's about 2 miles, and I've walked that trail for 20 years now, more than 20 years. I walk it probably 50 times a year. I have my grandchildren, 6, 4, and 2 now, on that trail. And when you get on up by Stop and Shop there, it's 2 miles. It's more than 2 miles of security, privacy, beauty. This trail, and my last 16 years was in maintenance, 7 years design, Parkway Design Group, 9 years construction for the state of New York City, 16 years in charge of the roads of Northern Westchester. When I saw in the Somers record that Anthony and Heather Tomasetti, the letter that they had written, I'm like, how did this happen? They can't have it. I went and visited Heather and said, this isn't supposed to be happening. If they have the lock gate requirement and they meet all the other things, including the environmental stuff, they need a stormwater pollution prevention plan. They need New York City DEP. They're within so many feet of a stream channel. They claim in so many different areas that there are no adverse impacts. They're causing stress to me right now. That's an adverse impact. I wrote environmental impact statements, DEIS's draft environmental impact statements, and final environmental impact statements. This, especially now with the opportunity to connect into Trailside Estates with Ken Carney, it removes all of these questions. There were some great questions there. It is state right away. And the thing is, that stuff is not reviewed until it passes through the planning boards and other thing by the state DOT for a bunch of those things. Why the gates? Those gates are from the original 1880s easement, and that was for cows. That was for the farmers. That was the original intention of the easement, not to have cars going back and forth. In the write-up they mentioned something in this most recent write-up for the zoning board application saying 3 trips, 3 peak hour trips. I was glad to hear the Amazon question. Is that 3, just like I do 100 laps in the pool? That's one way. Some people say a lap is 2-way. So I'm thinking the 3 trips is 2-way right there. But my professional engineer analysis of school buses, mail trucks, garbage trucks, Amazon trucks, the UPS truck, the teenagers, for the number of houses in there, my professional engineer analysis, which I was in design, and I wrote these things and I studied these things, and I'm trained in this stuff, heavily trained in this stuff, is at least 64 trips a day. That's my professional analysis. The other thing is in maintenance, the state always has all these grandiose ideas how to do things and put wires in the roadway to melt the snow and everything. Now, who's going to maintain that? This gate, who's going to maintain that gate? If you see opposite Whispering Pines, on Route 6, Whispering Pines right there, where the hot dog truck sits right next to it across the street, have you seen that lock gate over there? That lock gate, the firemen have that. the lock gate there, that development wanted to put in access to Route 6 there. I told them no. And the guy, Zappy, really great guy and whatnot, he understood. It's not required. The objective and the permits for state DOT is to minimize impacts. This is dangerous. It is very dangerous. The continuous things about no comment from DOT? No. Well, I'm retired DOT. So now it's on record that there are comments from somebody from DOT, although retired. So A, no hardship, access is available. So that's got to be thrown out the window now. Adverse impact to safety, et cetera, on the bike trail. Number of crossings, conflicts with trail, users per day, 64 per my professional engineer, design, construction, and maintenance experience. Sight distance, southbound bike riders are compromised by the curve, the terrain, and the vegetation. I was in the Parkway Design Group for years, and the thing is, sight distance issues, and I discussed in Heritage Hills for the guys to slow down for the vertical and horizontal sight distance issues and the stop sign issues that recently came up in Heritage Hills. This is the AASHTO, which stands for American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. This is the Bicycle Facilities Guide for Development of Bicycle Facilities. I had federal government training down in Mount Vernon about 2010 about pedestrians and walkways, et cetera. But in this fourth edition here, 2012, it talks about reduce the incidence of driveways through access management. Well, access management, as per the town code, the adjacent trailside estates addresses that issue. Problem solved. Moving on. That sight distance. When a bicyclist, and they travel fast. When I would walk in Van Cortlandt Park, I try and find a walking stick all the time. Those bicycles fly. Some of them are courteous, a lot of them are not, but they fly. When you're coming southbound and you're approaching the Tomasetti property, the roadway, the bike trail curves to the right. I speak very loud. The bike trail curves to the right. In order to have the proper sight distance, which for that situation, based on the guidelines in this manual, it's approximately 134 feet over there. They'd have to cut back along that side slope. The sight distance is 133.6 feet. The grade is level. The friction factor is 0.6. The bicyclist goes 18 miles per hour, according to the codes in here. Here are the sight line diagrams. This is the diagram from the manual. Okay. This is a meeting at the town board meeting where I was allowed to speak. And this was back from August 10th, 2023. Meeting after meeting, sat here patiently, listening to stuff that was totally different from my viewpoint. That's a very politically correct way to be nice. Yes, sir.
Okay. I could think of over 12 road crossings,
Yes.
some state, over the trailways.
Yes.
What about Gilco? In the sense of you're dealing with commercial trucks, you're dealing with 118 Granite Springs Road, you're dealing with Hanover Street in Yorktown, you're dealing with Underhill Avenue in Yorktown, you're dealing with roads up in Mayapack. Now, in the sense of, yes, that's heavily trafficked roads. We're only talking a couple of houses. So I understand your safety concerns, so am I. But can you explain your concerns? Your concerns right now, to me, how I understand it, is this development, period. Nothing else. Nothing else has been brought up regarding the crossings that I'm talking about. So what's being done about those?
I cannot solve past history. They're multi-lane roadways where the people that are on the trail see way ahead and they hear the cars going back and forth and whatnot. There's much greater sight distance. They are straightaways approaching them. At 118, there's a straightaway, what's called a tangent in geometric design of highways. That's called a straightaway is called a tangent. There are tangents probably a half a mile to the south and to the north of 118 up there at the top of Yorktown, which is, I'm sorry, Somers, which is actually Carmel up there, the town of Carmel right there.
Now-
At Jilko,
I'm saying, what about 35 there, where the the trail crosses when you have the hump over the road on
yes,
35?
yes.
You don't have very good visibility.
35 by the Nice Egg Transfer Station. There are numerous advanced warning signs, aside from the fact that the bike trail has the straightaway visibility again. Recall, it's old railroad tracks. It does have some curves, and it's got the curve coming right around the Tomasetti's house.
And we're talking about the same trail now, correct?
Yes, we are talking about it.
So, can I just, if I can make a suggestion? Again, this board isn't approving a trail crossing.
No.
And this is good perspective, and I appreciate what you've told us so far, just so we're getting up to speed on this project as it's been presented. Mike, would you mind, I know there's a lot of other people in the audience, perhaps some from that particular neighborhood. Can we just see who else we have, and you could feel free to come back if you have more to add after?
Yes.
Sure, we get
yes,
in tonight.
yes,
A lot of people
yes, because
don't usually get this kind of crowd.
Yeah.
oh, there were crowds here for
No, I understand.
the past meetings. And I had the new Adam Bronstein speak.
Right.
He was good.
I heard.
Does anyone else wish to speak in regard to this application? If so, please come up to the microphone, just give name and address.
Anthony Tomasetti, 14 Green Tree Road. Mike covered a lot of stuff there. So, when this was before the board in 2023, there was a lot of emails, over 40 emails that were sent to the town board while those meetings were going on, and we weren't allowed to talk like Mike was talking about. I counted tonight over 43 emails, all opposed to the crossing of the bike trail. I counted one that was for the crossing. So there's a tremendous amount of people in the town, neighbors, people who walk on the trail who, when we let them know what was going on, that there was potentially a crossing there, they were shocked. They were appalled. How could this happen? How could the town let this happen? Why would they think that this was okay? And I understand that the property was landlocked, and maybe that was going to be their only way in. But when it came to light that Trailside Estates was willing to offer access there, I measured 350 feet of that paper road from there at I would imagine great expense with grass pavers and the gates and everything. But if they could go through Trailside Estates, it seemed like a no-brainer. Why would you risk any potential safety issues on the trail when there's another way? The DOT recognizes that there was that existing easement, that right of way. And here, there's a letter. There's a tremendous amount of emails from neighbors and other people with a lot of good information in there. If you go back to 2023, I have an email there that talks about all the other crossings and what makes this crossing different. Talks about the fact that how long it is. It talks about the fact that when if you'd like to see it, I have it here. You could read it.
I'm just
leisure.
See if there's an aerial view.
I have pictures of aerial views in here.
You can
But it talks about,
submit it and board will.
yeah, I mean,
look-
it's stuff that you should have already because it's all been, out there. I'd like to think that, when you can consider the easement, the variances, that you go back and look at all the stuff that's been happening for the last couple of years, because there's a tremendous amount of information and public opinion out there. As far as Jilko is concerned, Jilko is a very dangerous crossing. I shop there. I'm there pretty often. It's very dangerous. I almost run people over there, and I'm very cognizant of it because trail is in my backyard. So people are not paying attention. They got their Walkmans, the earbuds, and they just walk right across. It doesn't matter that there's a stop sign there, them stop sign for the people. They just go right across. Um, but when you're there, you're in a commercial area. You've got 200 or 300 yards when you're walking from the south approaching Jilko. You see their tractor trailers. You're against their driveway. You got the post office there. You know that you're in a commercial kind of area. You're not surprised that a car is gonna go there. But when you're by my house and you're a mile from Stop and Shop and a mile from the next intersection at 35, and it's green on both sides with currently no houses on the right side at all and only some limited houses on the left, and you're zipping down on your bicycle, you don't expect to all of a sudden a car be pulling out to cross over the roadway. It's just it's a different atmosphere. It's not what you would expect.
Could you just point out where on you live?
That's my house here.
Okay. And how many other homes are there on that cul-de-sac?
There's 13 homes on
Green
Green Tree Road. If you add those 3 homes there, you've increased the traffic by 23% on Green Tree Road by adding 3 homes there. The application, I understand what Mike is talking about. Some of the information in the applications downplays everything. Limited this, 3 modest homes. They're large homes with the ability to, the swimming pools are drawn there. They're probably 3,600 square feet each. They're 4-bedroom homes. It's hard to say that that's just 3 cars. You've got potentially gardeners going back and forth, oil deliveries, pool water deliveries potentially. Besides all the regular stuff, do you have a cleaning person come and clean your house once a week? Does everybody use the same garbage vendor, or are there going to be 3 garbage trucks going across there? We pay for garbage. Are they all going to be the same? We're going to force all the people who live there to use the same utility company, the same oil delivery. I couldn't see from the plan that's online is very small. I'm curious, do the power lines go over the trail? Are they going under the trail? Or are you getting power from somewhere else? There's whatever. There's lots of questions I have, but without taking up too much time, when this file was addressed in 2022, Norma V. Drummond, who's the commissioner of Westchester County Planning Board at the time, reviewed the file. And her first comment in the letter she wrote on the referral of the file was, while we would prefer that there be no vehicular crossings with the North County Trailway, we understand that the prior easement with the New York State DOT provides access to the landlocked property across the right of way. So they prefer no traffic across, but because it was landlocked and because there's an existing easement, which I believe, like Mike, it probably intended for farm equipment at some time, like the ones that are on the property just to the south of my property with a locked gate on either side. It gets used once a week. Somebody drives a lawnmower across it. They own property on both sides. In this case, they only own the property on one side. But I get it. It's landlocked. They need access to it. But if there's another option, it would seem crazy to me to put people at risk, to disturb the trail, to cut that 2-mile piece of undisturbed property, open space trail, to cut that in half when there's potentially another option. That's it. I just think that other option should really be explored carefully.
Now,
Things are only getting worse. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I have a question actually for the attorney.
Look.
Coming across to me that the majority of their concerns is safety on the trail. What happens if you put a big culvert box in there, use it as a bridge for people still can go by under with no problem whatsoever, and you still have access to your development?
You're asking, can we engineer a bridge?
Yeah, just in a big culvert box.
I don't think we'd ever get a permit from DOT or any agency to do that work, especially with some of the sensitive wetlands over here. Yeah, fire trucks, the firematic access.
No, I'm not talking about for the access road. I'm talking about for the bike trail.
I'm not following. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
You have a
a.
box, you have a big culvert box,
Okay.
okay? Where the opening faces north and south on the trail itself,
Mhm.
not
Trail.
the trail itself.
The trail goes underneath their driveway, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'll never let that. Yeah, DOT in New York State, well, I mean, that would, uh, of all the things that could be impossible, that's pretty high on the list, unfortunately, because dealing with OGS, many of the state agencies that control that fee, that bed of land, that piece. I mean, look,
And they drive cars on that trail, so trucks would have to get under. They do bring trucks down from time to time, so the maintenance trucks, I don't.
Okay, listen,
unfortunately, I love the idea, but unfortunately, I think it would never get through the bureaucratic red tape. So.
okay, thank you.
So I was pretty much done there anyway. Just the gate scenario. I'm concerned about cars backing up. Right, there's about 300 feet from the cul-de-sac to where the trail is. Now, if it's a Sally port system where only one vehicle can go through at a time before before the gate will open to let the next vehicle through. Now, when you've got the mailman coming and 3 or 4 cars going in there, the UPS, your gardener, now they're lined up and they're backed up onto Green Tree, or they're backed up if they're in the subdivision going there. I don't see it as being a viable option. Right now, snow plowing, you talked about snow plowing, at all the snow on Green Tree Road gets pushed down to the cul-de-sac. My driveway is here at the end, and the snow they put in front of this easement and all the way up to the side here. And it's usually about 5 feet high and 10 feet wide. And they put it over here and everywhere except where my mailbox is. I don't know where, with having to leave room for there, it's going to be very hard for them to find a place to put snow, let alone if the mailboxes for the new subdivision are going to be out here on Green Tree. They're going to be, they're going to be under the snow. But
Okay, thank you.
most of our concerns, honestly, are safety. We just think there's got to be another way, and that if it wasn't for the property being landlocked, that I don't think the DOT they definitely would not prefer to have a crossing if there was another way to avoid it, and I think there is another way.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else wish to speak in regard to this application? Sir, please come up and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Ed Opfer. I live at 11 Green Tree Road. I wasn't planning on speaking, but one of the comments that was made about the different crossings, Jilco was mentioned, Route 35, up by Stop and Shop, and you acknowledged those are all dangerous. So why should we put another dangerous one up? So you're arguing our point. We can't, as Mr. McBride said, we can't correct what happened in the past, where they allowed people to go over the path. But so now you're saying because we didn't do it right then, we're not going to do it right now. So I just wanted to make that point, that you're sort of arguing the way we feel by saying those are dangerous, so let's put another dangerous crossing. So that's.
We don't generally make an argument one way or the other. We kind of hash things out and we just kind of talk. We're not really making an argument for one thing.
Oh, no, that's, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But that was the comment that was put on the record.
Yep.
And I thought it was sort of ironic because it sort of puts our point of view.
I was just trying to figure out why this was done and why there's a rebuttal on what is being proposed in front of us. I'm trying to understand this all. Okay? Now,
Well, again, if it's,
what is the other question, since you brought it up? What has been the fatalities or accidents at any of these roads that were brought up.
Well, like I said, I wasn't planning on speaking, so I didn't bring statistics on fatalities or injuries or near misses. Right? And I don't know if anyone takes marks for near misses, but OSHA does. So when there's OSHA reporting, there are near misses that are counted, but I'm pretty sure nobody's there watching when a little kid on a tricycle goes by Jilco that almost gets hit, but somebody grabs the kid. But I'm pretty confident that it's happened numerous times over the course of history, as well as on Route 35 and Route 6 or Route 118. But I don't have those statistics. So I think it's a little naive to believe that we haven't had near misses, even though we might not have had a fatality. And it's funny because you bring up something that I'm in safety. I was in OSHA and I was in fire safety and I was a fireman in New York City. So I've been in the safety world my whole life. But ironically, we're falling into the same trap by that comment of, when they get the traffic light on the corner after the kid gets killed on the bike. It happens in New York City. It happens throughout our county. When do they have the meetings to say, you know what, that corner needed a traffic light? Yeah, because the kid got killed last week. They knew it needed a traffic light all along. So to your point, are we going to wait till something happens and go, you know what, from now on, we're not going to allow crossings on the bike path because now somebody died. So those are my comments. Just wanted to put them on the record.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in regard to this application? Yeah, sir, please come up and give us your name and address.
My name's Derek Lindsay. I live at 6 Green Tree Road. Now, my question is, if the town approves this easement from the end of the cul-de-sac to the bike path, and there's an accident, where's the liability placed? On the town or in the state? Who approves that? If there's a serious accident, who retains liability? If there's a suit,
Yeah, it's
legal
question.
Yeah. And my other question is, if this is a common driveway, are they going to have garbage cans at the end of the cul-de-sac for pickup? Or each individual home going to have their own garbage pickup? Because that means that my neighbors are going to have to pick up the garbage when the animals get into the garbage cans. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I think that would be something that the planning board would need to consider when they're looking at this application. A little bit out of what we do here, yeah.
And with regard to the bike path, when my kids were younger, they just run ahead and take off. They don't look. And drivers, sometimes they want to try and beat the traffic coming down the bike path. They may not win. A person coming down on a bicycle may not be able to stop. And boom, you have an accident.
We hear your concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak in regard to this application? Denise, have we opened this up online to see if anyone wants to speak in regard to the application?
We did, and nobody
Nobody else came
dialed
online?
in.
Okay.
Yep. Paul just put it up again, but nobody dialed in before.
Okay. Yeah, just leave it up for now, just in case anybody else or the application. Okay. All right. We can bring you back, sir. Come on up. Just give us your name and address again, just for the record.
Mike McBride, 55C, Heritage Hills. It's the duty of an engineer to make things as safe as possible. All right. And in a bunch of the documentation and in a bunch of the requirements of both engineers and the DOT, it's New York State DOT, is a requirement avoids or minimizes adverse impacts to the maximum extent practicable. Now, the present easement allowance is, excuse me one second.
Question.
It's shall not be unreasonably withheld is what the easement agreement from August 1997 says. Okay. unreasonably. I don't think it's unreasonable to withhold the permit, the DOT permit, because of the accidents that are possible here. I'm not sure if I said I was in court plenty of times. I was called in for fatalities also. And, it's not a pleasant thing. The number one priority for all the government agencies and the professional engineers, and should be the same priority for all, is the safety of the children, the elderly, and all who use the trail. This is required by law, by state professional engineering licensing boards, by codes, by the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and by common sense. There has been a lot of talk, comparisons to nearby, actually a mile, both north and south, crossings. And this was actually written in 2023. They were there before the bike trail was built. They are highly visible to the approaching trail users. I think I've said enough, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. It was very frustrating sitting here meeting after meeting of the planning board, listening to stuff that I was in total disagreement with.
Okay.
And,
Mr. McBride?
yes,
This
sir.
is Tom Burke. I'm remote. I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
I'm listening.
In terms of the DOT, because obviously you have the experience, being a chief engineer for DOT. The applicant has said, and we accept what the applicant says, is that the DOT has issued no comment in regard to the proposal, and we have their plans in terms of safety. Is it a foregone conclusion that because of that the DOT would issue a permit to the applicant in the final analysis?
No. Something that I say in court, claimant's attorney pulled up some stuff, and this was in the World Trade Center, Judge Marin's courtroom, and he was all giddy and stuff. And he's like, but he claims I said something. And I said, please read it back to me, what you're claiming I said. And he read something that he said, and I didn't say anything. I said, and then I told him, lack of objection is not affirmation. No comment is no comment. That's not telling you anything. They're not required to comment at this time.
Fair enough. So what you are saying that in the ultimate finding may be, now we don't know, but it may be by the DOT that they do not issue the required permit.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
I do have a question. I don't know who can answer this.
I do have someone online, Vic, just to let you know.
Someone online wishes to speak in regard to the application?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go first,
Okay.
Arnie?
Before, I'm going to say 1800s, before we had the train coming through, who owned that parcel of land? And was it connected to the paper road section? Who owned all that?
We'd have to do a title search to verify that.
Yeah.
If it's a state. Yeah, I mean, if it's a state roadbed, it's a good bet that I'm sorry?
It was not originally state, it was railroad. The railroad gave it up, and by state law, the railroad reverts to the state DOT.
Well,
Referred to before that, before the railroad got away.
Right. Well, none of us in this, as far as I know, none of us are title examiners. I don't know that answer. I don't think he knows that answer. We'd have to search.
Just bringing it up. I mean,
Yeah, I have no idea.
I figure out, how did this parcel get landlocked? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It happens. It's not unusual, but that's why they did grant a permanent easement in 97. I can't speak to an 1800s easement. The only one I have here, which I'll provide to the board, gives us a clear right over that. So we could certainly look at the title issue if the board is interested in it. We should get qualified professionals to do that. Shouldn't just bandy about in the audience about it. But I don't know the answer. That's a tough question.
Listen, I figured that, but I figured just throw it out there. Make life easier for people.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I wish I.
I just have a question. This letter from June 8th, issued by E.W. Scott. Is that a representative of the New York State DOT?
He's our project engineer.
Okay.
So Peter had dialogue directly with Ms. Duralius at DOT, and as did my office.
So in this letter, they're saying they would approve crossing with a limited width of 12. I understand based on our code, it has to be 16. Is there a requirement to update the DOT based on the notification from trails states that this property is no longer landlocked?
So they're aware of that issue. We raised that specifically with Ms. Duralius. She asked us whether that was a consideration for us, and we indicated unequivocally at this point, no, because we don't have dialogue with Mr. Kearney. There's no offer. There's no, I'm not aware of any overture in the past year and a half from that developer in any respect. So that was the extent of it with DOT. We did identify it. They're aware of it, and these were their comments.
That time though, but now we have a letter in writing communicating that offer.
Yeah, it won't.
Thing that needs to be made to their attention.
We can communicate it, but it won't change their opinion and the comments that were returned or the lack thereof. They're going to remain involved or an interested agency for secret purposes when this goes through town board and planning board review, which has to succeed after this, regardless of the outcome. So DOT is not done by any stretch. That's their comments. As long as the project doesn't change materially, I don't see why those comments would change, even though that letter was written. That's already been identified to Ms. Duralius, and she's issued her position. So I highly doubt her position will change.
So how did that get identified to them? You had no knowledge of its existence.
Well, we spoke to her about whether there were other alternatives, and I had conversations with Mr. Martabano and I think even Mr. Carney.
It's not recent ones.
Not recently, no. So that's why that overture. I mean,
So let me ask you, Mr. Crusoe, when this was before the planning board, wait, please don't interrupt. Sir. When you were before the planning board, was it discussed this alternative access?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
So does the planning board know about this alternative?
I don't believe so. But look,
Okay, well, let me go on. Does the DOT know about this alternative access?
Sure.
Was it discussed with them?
Mr. Rallius is aware of it. Yeah, we spoke directly about it. She's aware of it, and she still issued her position. The thing that I think we need to regain our focus on here, and I think Mr. Newman had put I think he focused on this properly. If there's comments and there's safety issues and there's issues relevant to site planning and subdivision and seeker, they will come back out. We're not done with those. This board is not deciding whether this is a safe intersection. That's not your province, and we're not putting that on you. I am informing the board that we went through that process to derive this layout, this configuration, and everything you see on this plan.
I mean, why are you before us now? Shouldn't
You're-
you be flushed out with the planning board, possibly town board?
Yes.
DOT before it comes to us?
Well,
Why are we involved at this process? And
we got comments from the Fire Protection Bureau. We got comments from DOT. And we could not come to this board for relief until we got a position that was known from DOT about how wide that crossing could be and what their comments would be, as if it was 10 foot, 12 foot, 16 foot. Once that became known to us, which was only a few months ago, we acted on that quickly. We came to you in like less than 30 days for sure. But the issue before you is really, now that we have DOT's position, we put that plan, which we presented to DOT, in front of you and to Mr. Tuma and said, we're below 16 feet per your code. We need an area variance, which is why we're here. So the issue before you, and I think this is where this got into the weeds, it's not the safety of this crossing. The town board will open its public hearing. Planning board will go back and do another public hearing or open it again on these issues.
But I mean, you're asking us to provide you with an area variance.
But let me
If
finish.
we think there's a safety issue,
No,
Right, that may be, that may preclude us from issuing the variance.
the safety issue, if you're going to consider a safety issue, if it's part of adverse physical or environmental impacts that may result from this, which is part of your balancing analysis, you're considering whether the width deviation presents an adverse physical environmental impact, not a safety issue. The safety issue has been spoken to. We have the right to cross. It's in this easement. We have that. That's permanent. It's not conditional. We have to get a highway work permit as a consequence of whatever this board and other boards grant us, and that cannot be unreasonably withheld. That's in the easement. That's a consequence of what you do. But you are here to just assess whether or not that deviation for that small period of time is balanced by those 5 factors. Is it substantial? We submit no. Is it going to generate adverse, physical and adverse environmental impacts? We submit no. Is it self-created? We submit no. Are there alternatives? We're going to explore that and educate the board as best we can. We don't think so. So that's the focus.
I understand this clearly, but I'm not comfortable and I'm not willing to vote on this until we know that there are no impacts to the event and there is no other alternative. And right now, there is the possibility of that alternative. So
We'll get to the bottom of that.
we're gonna vote. There's no basis to grant.
No, and I'm not asking you to either. I don't want this. I'm not trying to hoodwink this board. I want you to do your job fully informed. Let me go and have that dialogue. If you would keep your hearing open and allow us to come back, I will get you every piece of information I can to inform your decision making, because I would like to know what Mr. Kearney has to say for sure. That letter is a total surprise to me. And I will advise you in writing before that meeting as best I can.
Because keep in mind, Mr. Kearney said he appeared before the planning board in September of 2023 and offered it at that time. So this offer has been around for almost 2 years.
I'm not sure what offer he's referring to.
So, well, it's in this letter. I mean,
Yeah.
signed letter by him. Certainly we'll give you a copy of it. But yeah, I think this has to be out because like Mr. DiPolito here, I'm not prepared to vote on this or approve this or give tacit approval where you'll go to the planning board or someone else and say, the zoning board doesn't have a problem with it. Because I do have a problem with it.
Oh, I understand.
I think there's alternatives here. And I think that this has to be
Look, I fully
done a little better.
I fully appreciate that, but that is an issue that I was not aware of. I'm just learning of it. I will do my due diligence with it to inform you, and you will have the ability to make an informed decision. And we're not going to rush that process. I want this board to be comfortable with it. If you have more questions, we'll do more research and we'll put it out and get this thing right.
I mean, quite honestly, if I were the developer here and I had an alternative access and could avoid gates and going over the trail and figuring all this out, I'd be thrilled. I'd be happy that there's a different access way and you can.
But there's always a catch. There's always
Well,
a
I'm
catch.
sure there is.
I'm sure that letter, when you read that letter, you go, wow, that sounds eminently reasonable. And then when the phone rings and the other person on the end of the line says, did you receive my letter yet? The discussion takes a different turn. So let's have that discussion. Let me do that investigation. Like I said, I'm not vilifying anybody, but I have to go through and see what that letter means, what they're prepared to offer. And that way we can come back to you and tell you what that is.
Okay.
So if you would give us a little bit of time to do that, I'd appreciate it.
Mike, I will email you a copy of the letter.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome. And just to remind you, Vic, we still have somebody who would like to speak.
Okay, yes, let's bring
that
that
dialed
individual
in.
on. I want to give everybody the opportunity to speak. So who's ever online, if you could just give us your name and address, and we'd be happy to hear what you have to say in regard to this application.
Are they still there?
Oh, hello, good evening. This is Maureen Friel, number 2 Green Tree Road. And I've been a resident here for 38 years and use the path quite frequently. Now, the access that he is talking about is really a footpath. It is about 4 feet wide. It's been used by the residents mostly of Green Tree Road for as many years as I can remember, but I do believe it was about in the 1990s when the path was completed up this way, having started from, it's the North County Trailway. It is a old railroad line. My parents took the train from New York City to Mayapack on their honeymoon. So all the other crossings that we talk about have been in place. This is for private use. Okay, all the other private crossings were in place, and I'm sure DOT and blah, blah, blah had all their approvals. We are talking 3 houses that want to disrupt the rhythm of the trail. And because there is an alternative, that is why I was shocked to actually see this on your agenda. Because since the planning board told Mr. Rasick that he had an alternative, I haven't heard anything about this for over 2 years. I said, okay, maybe they're working something out. Maybe people are walking away. But what is the most logical thing? You have an alternative, and I'm sure work with the developer. I know back in the when we keep talking back in 1997, I believe it was the Boniellos, blah, 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 and they gave it up because it was not feasible. So suddenly we get into Stern and his, Stern and his daughter and blah, blah, blah. And now this gentleman. Like, what is so important? If you have all this money, go buy land somewhere else. Why are you fighting so hard to disrupt so many people? And if you talk about putting dumpsters at the end of Green Tree Road, where most of the residents have been on this block for multiple years, that is egregious, absolutely egregious. Because three families need to get to their friggin' 3,000 square foot homes? No. There are other places to build. They have another way to get there. And I don't even know how it got to the zoning board, because I've been in contact with Mr. Smith, as Heather and all the other residents on Green Tree Road had been since the beginning of this. And it was just laid to rest. Oh, after the planning board said, oh, you have other access, that was all I heard. So thankfully I got an alert that there was this meeting, and I was absolutely shocked that this would even be on the agenda. Why is he not forced to go through the proper channels? Why is this even being brought up is what I want to know. And believe me, you can see how much time this has taken. Okay, the woman with the pool, the woman with the fence, blah, blah, blah. This is a major issue. And things have been discussed and discussed and discussed. And if that attorney sits there and says he does not know that there was an alternative given, well, then he's being made a fool of. And I don't know what the alternative, I don't know what the motive is, but it just makes friggin' sense to go up, around, pay what you have to do. Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for that road? That road is it's not a road. It is not a driveway. It is a walking path. And most times, the residents of Green Tree are the ones that maintain it. We have never asked the town of Somers to come in to mulch or to wherever, blah, blah, blah. It has been a little access path that for how many feet gets us to the path. And now you're saying you're going to build a road? And then we have to deal with construction vehicles up and down Green Tree Road with 3 friggin' houses for people that don't even live in Somers now? What is the benefit? There is no benefit. The trailside estates, the things that Boniello makes, they bring benefit. This person's not bringing any benefit. And you're going to disrupt, and it's a private crossing. I can hear all I want about Jilco and Route 35 and Route 6, blah, blah, blah. They were there. A private driveway across the trail makes absolutely no sense. I appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Denise, do we have anybody else online who wishes to speak in regard to this application?
We do not.
Okay. Anyone else here? Ma'am, would you please come up, give us your name and address?
Hi, good evening. My name is Nancy Marone, 25 Cortland Manor Road here in Somers. My family goes back to 1974 in Somers. I went to Somers schools. I'm here just to address the matter of whether or not these bike paths, walking paths, jogging paths, crossing major roads are safe or not. I don't need to be somebody who works for the DOT. I don't need to be somebody who works for OSHA. I can tell you from a driver who's been on these roads, from a person who lost 2 classmates from car accidents on the roads in Somers, that these crossings are incredibly dangerous, not only to the people using the roads, the paths, but to the people who are on the roads trying to avoid them. Just last week, and I refused to go on Route 35 to Yorktown or on whatever it is, 118 to Baldwin Place, as much as I can avoid them because of those 2 paths crossing those roads. They are that dangerous. Just last week, I was on the way to a choir sing, and a woman darted out across 35, almost into my car. And she waved me on like, oh, go ahead. What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal to me if I were to have hit her. And as far as deaths that have happened, am I the only one that doesn't recalls that a woman, somebody was killed on that road 35 at that crossroad? And this was within the past, I'm sure, 10 years. So I want to just make sure that you understand that I think what we already have is incredibly dangerous. And I would move the town to actually do something to rectify what is already dangerous, much less than create something else that could be an additional danger to the town. So I just want to speak my piece. I was watching this on TV, just by chance caught you, and had to come over here and say my piece because I feel that strongly that it's a hazard, and God forbid a motorist who runs into somebody has to live the rest of their life with the knowledge that they harm somebody. There is no amount of sight distance that these places have that will enable you to stop in time. By the time you see somebody wanting to cross that path and the road, that will give you enough time to stop. And you have people here who are specialists from the DOT or whatever, who can actually tell you how many seconds you need at whatever rate of speed to actually be able to stop in time to avoid an accident. I don't know what that is, but I know it exists. Those factors exist. And there is not enough time when I'm on that road and when I look to see if somebody's there, and not enough time for me to stop going the speed limit. So that's my 2 cents. And I just want to say, I don't know anything about what's going on here in terms of who's applying for what, but that I just had to tell you that because I feel so strongly about it.
I addressed you for a moment. I'm assuming you were addressing it more to myself. That's the way I'm taking it. And I hope I'm wrong. But if I am, ma'am, when I was a child, I witnessed a friend of mine getting hit by a car when he was on his bicycle. Okay? So I understand where you're coming from. Safety, most of all, safety. I have been in the witness chair more than one occasion that I would like to be in. Okay? But I definitely can relate to what you're referring to as a person, a child being hit by a car, because I personally witnessed it. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I personally witnessed it when I was like 8 years old.
And I'm very, very sorry to hear that. I am sorry to hear that you had to go through that. And as somebody who did go through that, I'm sure you understand how somebody who didn't go through it would be as horrified as you were to see it actually be part of it.
And most of all, I told his mother that he was dead, got killed by a car. Okay? So I can relate to all this.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I really do. I think that it's important that people it's a funny thing. Every town, every city has their issues with cars. You go into an inner city, you have people speeding on inner city roads, White Plains, Yonkers, people getting killed, pedestrians, that kind of thing. Somers, Pauling, all these areas have so many issues about accidents with young people and things like that. There's a lot of deaths. I think we all know that. It happens a lot because these roads are so treacherous. So I'm just trying to emphasize as an opportunity to tell you this, that from my perspective, driving on these roads is a nightmare. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I just wanted to tell you that I felt compelled just to tell you how strongly I feel about those crossings. I hate them. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak in regard to this application?
I
Okay.
got two last things.
Okay.
It is not unreasonable, it is not unreasonable to withhold a permit over safety issues. Thing, Ken Carney personally told me that he told the Dynamite, the crossing people, the developers up there, that he would give them access. Ken Carney, uninitiated, came over and told me that personally.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, any further comments from the audience or anyone else wishes to speak in regard to this application? Any further comments by the board? I mean, I think, are we in agreement that we're going to table this to next month? That hopefully the applicant will get some more information in regard to the alternatives that might be available. Then we might go from there. Is that everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah, Tom Burke, I'm in agreement, Vic, to adjourn this to at least to September.
Okay, so I think that's what we're going to do. Mr. Caruso, do you have anything further you'd like to say? I'd like to keep it short though, please.
No,
Getting late.
No, I'm all set. My client really wanted me to emphasize that these are gated crossings where vehicles have to stop 50 feet back from this crossing. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to do our due diligence, back and inform the board as next week.
You know, one thing I'm thinking about this here too is that, you have 3 houses. Let's say there's 10 cars that go there in and out. That's 20 per house. That's 60 crossings. So I'm thinking 60 times a day, which is probably not unreasonable, that people on the bike path would be interrupted or have to stop. 60 opportunities for a problem. So, I mean, I'm just, I think you understand my position, that my position is I have a concern for safety here. If there was no other way to get to this property, we might be forced to say, okay, the property's landlocked, we have to do something. But if there's an alternative, I think that really has to be looked at.
We're going to look at it as thoroughly as we can, and we'll use our time to do that.
And you might even save some dollars doing it.
I understand. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Board's time, we'll bring whatever safety studies we can from the planning process, any traffic impacts, anything we can to help inform you. We will bring them with us. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to continue then. On the agenda, the next thing is going to be the approval of the July 15, 2025 minutes. I'm just going to do it by voice consensus. All in favor?
Aye.
Vic, before we do that, I saw one
Yes.
thing, and Denise, it may have been brought to your attention. On page 4 of the minutes on the O'Donnell matter, when it talked about the requirement, the distance of the pool from 35 foot to 50 foot, the minutes had the pool to the septic system, whereas it should be the pool to the well.
Okay. Yep, I would agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah, Denise, if you look on page 4, second paragraph, 4th line down, we should say septic system should be changed to wellhead.
Thank you.
That's a good catch, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, other than that, I certainly am in favor of approval of the minutes.
Everyone agree with that change?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay, so once again, can we approve the minutes with that change by voice consensus?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay. Minutes are passed. I will make mention that our next meeting is September 16th, 2025, third Tuesday, right in this room. Any further items before we close the meeting? Any
I'm good.
comments, questions, issues?
Nothing else for me.
No. All right, that's good. Okay, so we're going to then end the meeting. Everyone have a good night and thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, Paul, and you can take us.